I don't know if any of this is working. I don't know if you can see this. Can you even hear it? Not my problem. Yeah, thank you, Janine. Time after time. Time after time. How do I stop sharing my screen? Stop screen. Okay, there it is. Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm not actually at all sorry about that. All of the links have been sent out to the appropriate people. And we are going to be, oh my stars, I've got a thing on my hat. It's a dangly thing, and it's going to be really weird if it continues. So we'll just burn that off. Great. So yes, welcome to our Natural Born Killers review. This is, oh my stars. What do I call it? Oh, it's Bullets, Blades, and Babes is what I call it, because that's the name of the show. No, where is it? Where's Bullets, Blades? Oh, there it is. Anyway, this is Bullets, Blades, and Babes, and I am flying solo until someone shows up. Not all stories are chronological, especially when it comes to the films of Quentin Tarantino. Mickey and Mallory are bumpkin quack cuckoo bananas, murderers, mayhem, and murder. Celebrity villains? Check. Social commentary? I guess. It's Quentin. It's Oliver Stone. So, yeah. I was correct to be afraid. I am Scotty R37. Kat is on brain detail, and Steve shouldn't have been so damned eager. Welcome once again to the last time that we talked about a Quentin Tarantino movie. Speaking of Kat, how did you feel about Natural Born Killers?
It's a pretty shit movie.
Why? Why do you say that?
The characters aren't entertaining at all. It's really tasteless to cast Rodney Dangerfield as the abusive father, husband, whatever.
I thought it was enthralling.
Oliver Stone's belief that the movie's basically blaming the media for all these psychopaths is a bit of an oxymoron, because the movie itself is a piece of media, which did directly go on to inspire a bunch of copycats. So it's like, what exactly is the thesis of the film if it's doing the exact same thing that he's criticizing? Not sure. And yeah, Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Downey Jr. are enjoyable, but so much of the script is just terrible, and it's just schlocky. I mean, you could have obnoxious, annoying, repugnant characters for your protagonist as long as they're entertaining. I just found nothing entertaining about it. It was just the whole thing felt like a real schlocky affair where he's using style to emphasize the chaos of what's going on to make you feel kind of nutty like them, but they just kind of felt like two like spoiled brats, just a bit more white trash. So I didn't really. It's like I took nothing away from it. Like there's nothing remotely Tarantino about this movie. I could see why he hates it. Like because Stone rewrote the script anyway, and it's like they retained what little aspects of the plot are there, but I just found the whole thing to be kind of a schlocky exercise that gets more attention because it has Oliver Stone's name on it.
Well, and do you draw any comparisons between this film and True Romance?
No. I mean, because the thing about True Romance is you have two likable characters by comparison. Not so much going on a road trip because they skip the part where they're traveling across country for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But the script is better. The characters are a lot more interesting. You have so many good scenes in that by comparison. It's really fun. A lot of fun cameos going from place to place. Here, it's just like these two going around committing one atrocious act of violence after another. And it tries to get you to sympathize with them, but it just seems to come off as really trashy because they're so repugnant and evil. And like
from what I understand in terms of the original intent of the screenplay was the elevation of two serial killers, like a Bonnie and Clyde. And the movie itself, and it's weird to look at a filmmaker like Oliver Stone and say you're making a bad ripoff of a Quentin Tarantino movie. When I look at Tony Scott's True Romance, like, I don't think that that's a ripoff of a Tarantino movie. I feel that it is a faithful adaptation of the screenplay that Tarantino wrote. Whereas I do feel that Oliver Stone is fighting against the story that is Natural Born Killers.
Well, there really isn't any story there. It's like, okay, two people go on a killing spree. That's about it.
No, but it's a commentary on the sensationalism.
I didn't even think it succeeded much at that, because while they talk, the Wayne character shows up, Robert Downey Jr., it's not really it's not as much of the focus. Like, they're not showing as much the impression that they're having on everybody else in the country, because we're following them so much of the time. And then the Wayne character, when he's doing the interviews, that we don't really get to see the effect. So it's like,
and I am under well qualified sources that the original screenplay very much delves into the nature of the influence that Mickey and Mallory had.
Yeah.
Like, the original screenplay was much more about the celebrity of crime, from what I understand.
Yeah, and it didn't really focus on that, except for, again, the Wayne character, but it's only him. You're seeing him running around with the camera, but you're not seeing like his edited show or what it actually looks like or what effect it's having on anybody, because it's just him. And then for the most part, the stuff going on in prison where he's talking, where you're not getting a sense of any of the interpretation of it by the nation at large. Because everywhere Mickey and Mallory go, they're not really recognized for the most part, because they're kind of ahead of where they're going each time.
Well, they are very good looking.
No, they're not.
What?
They both look like trailer trash in this movie. The makeup artist did a good job.
I don't know.
Juliette
Lewis in this movie is foxy.
I think like I said, I think the actors, Juliette Lewis and Woody Harrelson, along with whoever the makeup designer and makeup costumes were, did a really good job at making these two people just seem like trailer trash who I just did not give a shit about. Try as they might to get us to sympathize with their backgrounds, it's like they keep intercutting that with all the horrible things they're doing, so I can't really feel anything for them, really. And it just goes on like that. And the script is devoid of any of the great soliloquies and monologues that you had in True Romance, so that it's really... like, for instance, look at the scene in True Romance where the James Gandolfini character beats up the girl at the motel. The whole conversation and the staging of that is a lot better than, say, any of the violent scenes in this, where it's just...
Oh yeah.
Violence for the sake of schlocky violence. I just don't feel like there's much substance to this movie. And for
Agreed.
Stone to say that, well, it's about the celebrity, like maybe the script was originally about that, but the movie, it's mostly following Mickey and Mallory, and then with them in prison. It's not really following the effect of their celebrity. Yes, they're talking about other killers they've heard about, but it's not really following it, nationwide to see what the effect is.
What is it like broadcasting from like the most important space in terms of like you're defending the Earth from asteroids right now, yes?
No.
All right. Sounded like it.
I'm the ending of Inglourious Bastards, actually.
We can't talk about Inglourious Bastards yet.
I know, but I'm watching the ending of it anyway.
I know. I heard. Anyway, so well, then let's get rid of this. Okay, so I was afraid of natural born killers. I saw the trailer and I thought it was going to be the most terrifying movie in the history of film.
It's funny. Yeah. Okay. Go on.
Thank you very much.
I was wrong.
Cut Colonel's hands behind his back.
I think it was terrifying, but it wasn't as terrifying as I thought. I was scared of it for a very long time because I thought it was going to be crazy, like child abuse. I thought it was going to be like when Rodney Dangerfield was going to molest Juliette Lewis. I was scared for that. When I saw the Prison Break, which I didn't know was a prison break, I thought I was going to be scared. And I was. And there is a moment with Robert Downey Jr.'s character. What's his name?
Deal. I make that deal. I don't blame you. Damn good deal. That pretty little nest you feather for yourself.
I'm
willing to barbecue the
Here's the thing. I never found the movie terrifying. I think it is very underwhelming versus the reputation that it has. I had high expectations. I knew a lot of people hated it in terms of not being a good Tarantino adaptation, but I expected it to be really disturbing, and it wasn't, because I thought he was using style with the colors and the camera shakes and weird transposes over substance. In terms of, like, I've seen a lot more, almost like direct-to-video horror type movies that are a lot more violent and visceral than this movie.
Yeah.
And it didn't have that effect on me. I don't get why any crazy person out there would be inspired by Mickey and Mallory the way they were. I find them both annoying.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So how many bullets?
We're already finished with this review?
Yeah.
Don't you think anything else about the movie?
No, I'm actually, you know what? I can hear in the background that you're watching Inglourious Bastards, and I would rather talk about that movie.
So here, like I said, I did like Tommy Lee Jones as the warden. He was really funny.
He was.
And I didn't understand why the Robert Downey Jr. character ends up getting in on the violence. Like, at one point, he picks up the gun and kills the prison guards. I'm like, what's that about? Why is he... Like, maybe if they spent more time trying to show how he himself was being... It's one thing if you obsess over crime and stuff like that for the sake of selling books, or, like, there's a whole cottage industry of that. The whole movie, David Fincher movie Zodiac, is all about how they turned it into a news story rather than focusing on the actual crimes. And maybe if they've used the Wayne character, the Robert Downey Jr. character, to focus on, like, his obsession with it, maybe that would have been more interesting. But I was kind of taken aback when he picks up the gun and just starts participating in the shootout during the prison break. It's like, oh, where's this? It's like, okay, so I guess you're in on it now. And I admit, I liked the very ending of it, the way they rationalize why they're going to kill him because his camera's filming it. I thought that was actually kind of clever. But
that was terrifying.
But again, it's like I didn't get... I like these characters... It's not like it needed like a rewrite for the dialogue, especially for these two. Because unlike Bonnie and Clyde, who've largely been romanticized by Hollywood, when in reality they actually robbed convenience stores more than they did banks, because there'd be nobody at convenience stores and it'd be easy. And they unnecessarily killed people because they were just evil and got what they had coming to them. This story, because it's set in contemporary, in the early 90s, it doesn't have that old Prohibition era, aura to it, or appeal. And so it was just kind of this schlock fest. I'm like, okay, you want to criticize the media and blame it without really talking about how the media does that and popularizes them. I mean, just because the characters have familiarity with other serial killers doesn't really serve as a commentary on how the media is to blame for these things. And yet, you again have all of those copycats. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that the movie made people do it. I think Kevin Williamson hit it on the head in Scream when he said that movies don't create psycho killers; they just make psycho killers more creative. And I think that's kind of what you can use to explain all the copycat incidents after Natural Born Killers, because obviously millions of people saw this movie and did nothing, didn't go kill anybody or anything like that. And I think at the end of the day, it's also shock value over substance. Because again, why cast Rodney Dangerfield, who's like a beloved comedian and hysterical and fun and does all these fun, almost like weirdly placed teen movies, basically, and why put him in this kind of role as the creepy, abusive guy? Like, what is the appeal there? It felt like it was deliberately doing it.
It's juxtaposition.
But I mean, what I'm saying is that it felt like they did it to try and shock the audience. We're going to break the fourth wall by casting this guy to play with your expectations. And I thought, I mean, that's kind of, it's a bit, I don't know, kind of tasteless. I thought that, and that's the thing, if your script can't get the shock value across, it's just, oh, we're going to cast this guy to try and do it for us. I mean, I didn't really, that's why again, and maybe some of this is me as a modern viewer being more desensitized to violence in other movies, why I didn't really, I mean, yes, the movie Natural Born Killers is very violent, but it's never over the top gory like a lot of horror films nowadays. And so I don't know, I just feel that it's style and gore and violence over substance, and that all the commentaries on it might be reading a little too much into it. It's like, yeah, he may have said this is what he wanted the movie to be, but I'm not really seeing that from the movie itself. And it is a top-down rewrite. Yes, Oliver Stone is correct when he says that Tarantino's criticisms drove people away from the theater, but I don't think while Tarantino was popular at that time, I don't think he was so popular yet that would have made a difference of tens of millions of dollars in box office receipts. So, I mean, I just didn't take much from this film other than, oh, these characters are just they're just so boring and they're draining the life out of me. And I just, they're using funny camera angles and color tricks to try and compensate for these boring characters. And when it finally ended, I was like, okay, that was a movie. And I wonder how many people would remember it if it weren't for the fact that Oliver Stone made it, and that, hey, you have Woody Harrelson in it who went on to become a big actor. Maybe people would look at it out of curiosity from his early filmography. But other than those two things, I don't think this movie would be as remembered. And same with Robert Downey Jr. and Tommy Lee Jones. But I don't feel that this movie would be as remembered as it is today if it hadn't been for the association with Tarantino and Oliver Stone.
I agree with that. I would never have seen this if it weren't for the Tarantino connection. So I do agree with what you're saying. However, now that I've seen it with that connection, it's not a bad movie. It has things to say. And if it is laid on the foundation of Quentin Tarantino's story, I think it's good. I think it's a good movie. Like, did I give it a 4 before? I think I'm gonna give it a 5.
Out of what? 10?
No, out of 100. Yes, out of 10.
I'll give it a half a bullet.
Half?
Okay, I'll give it 1 bullet for Robert Downey Jr. and
he's
Tommy
good.
Jones, and
Yeah,
then the makeup art, and then the makeup artist, costume designer people. But this was a slog both times I watched it, and admittedly, I was very perplexed the first time I saw this movie 13 months ago and I'm like, I don't get what the big hullabaloo is. And watching it this time a few weeks ago, it was like another slog, kind of like when you have the scene, especially when they go to see the Native American for the Mystic, and they do this really cheap interpretation of, and that actor actually being an activist for a lot of Native American causes got caught flack for being in the movie because it's such
I thought it was a good scene. I thought it actually added weight. Like, that was the one time where Mickey killed, and it was not according to plan. That's when everything went down
Well, it was
Like
kind of
that's
already going downhill because they were still killing people, and on their.
no, I know, but like, okay, so Mickey and Mallory, while being crazy, they always decided who they were going to kill with purpose. And when they killed the uh, indigenous man, I felt like that was a moment where it was like, no, we weren't supposed to do this. This was bad. This was, and that, like, oh my God, when they're walking around the field of rattlesnakes. Like that was a moment where it was like, no, you've gone too far. You've killed an innocent. I thought
They'd already killed other innocents as well. I mean, after they killed the parents and took off, I mean, before they made it to him, they'd killed quite a few people because that's nearly almost an hour into the movie where that scene happens.
Yes. Like, about an hour. Yeah. Okay, you're right. And they'd killed a lot of innocent people, but a lot.
Yeah, and it's just if they did seem to learn anything from that, they didn't because they just kept going back to doing what they were doing before. And then the prison. I thought some of the prison scenes went on a bit too long. It's like if it had been told exclusively from the perspective of the warden, who I thought was funny enough because it was Tommy Lee Jones, maybe it would have been more tolerable. But it kept cutting back between all these characters and Wayne doing his interviews, and you could tell that Wayne's kind of trying to get a good.
What about Scagnetti?
Right, Scagnetti. That's another one. He's the prostitute killer who's been going around doing that, and played by Tom Sizemore, and
well, he's also Mr. White's bail. What do you call it? Probation officer.
Yeah.
Like if you go to Scagnetti, fuck that guy. I know him all the way back to Reservoir Dogs.
Right.
And so it's interesting. Again, if you want to build a wider Tarantino verse, that is there.
I would almost compare it like when you saw Woody Harrelson play Cletus Cassidy in Venom: Let There Be Carnage, where he's playing another deranged serial killer, but it's done with a little bit more flair and hilarity because it's not supposed to be, realistic because it's like a Venom thing. But when you see him as just this regular guy going around, oh, here's a Mustang, I'm just going to steal this Mustang. I'm going to walk around, I'm going to dress up like this flair and go rescue my girlfriend and stuff. And something about that I thought was a lot more appealing in terms of the way it was presented. Whereas here in Natural Born Killers, it's just because there's so much of the murder of so much of it was it just felt really schlocky because, again, it felt like he was trying to use camera tricks and stuff to try and draw you in as opposed to anything the characters had to say or do, to the point that it just didn't represent a Tarantino script at all. I mean, granted, at this point, Tarantino hadn't really developed a lot of his more trademark, finesses, if you will, but this doesn't feel like reminiscent of his work at all. So it's like, yeah.
No,
and it's not too controversial to say, other than a select few movies from his filmography, I'm not as high on Oliver Stone as so many other people are.
Well, no, I'm not a big Oliver Stone fan myself. So, okay. So you give it 1, I give it 5.
I can safely say I'll probably never watch the film again.
I watched it twice. I did buy the DVD for it. And there is an audio commentary with Oliver Stone. That's probably the last time that I'll watch.
That might be interesting to actually hear what his take on it is. I don't know if he's ever. I mean, I know Tarantino's trashed it plenty of times, but I've never heard what Stone's rebuke is as to what his justifications were for rewriting the script from top to bottom.
Okay.
But I'd say Tony Scott did a much better, because here's another similar difference, is that, as you pointed out, the plots of True Romance on the surface in Natural Born is similar. You have two lovebirds running from the law and all that kind of thing. But in True Romance, I find all the characters are a lot more lively. Like, even though you had, you had Scagnetti and, Wayne and then the warden, all kind of colorful, but they I felt, got buried by all the schlock and all the camera tricks. Whereas in True Romance, Tony Scott doesn't use any of that type of flair for the most part. So he's letting the characters kind of speak for themselves. And it just felt so much more lively. Whereas here, it just felt like, let's strip whatever liveliness or fun from the dialogue that there can be and just relentless schlock. Hit him with it, to the point that Yeah, crazy people are going to do crazy things, but I still don't see what the crazy people see in Mickey and Mallory that they idolize to the point to have all these copycat attacks. But
well, and that's why I draw the comparison towards True Romance, is because this is I don't even know, it's sick and twisted, but there is a cornerstone of Tarantino in it, and it's like, even though these people are sick and twisted, there is a cornerstone of love. And I feel that, and I compare this with True Romance, and obviously True Romance is a better movie.
Yeah, and the two main characters weren't evil people either.
Right. And these two characters are. They are evil.
And again, like, as we will discuss in the next movie you're going to watch, you could have an evil character but still find them wildly entertaining and fun to watch. And I just didn't feel that way about Mickey and Mallory in this film at all.
No.
And if it's not entertaining and it doesn't have that rich Tarantino dialogue and you're just using camera tricks to try and lure me, it's like, I just panned it. It's like one bullet out of 10. It's like,
Well, what did you like about the movie?
Like I said, Robert Downey Jr. and Tommy Lee Jones. And then, as I said, the makeup artists and the costume designers, and then Woody and Juliet did a good job of making their characters, to me, appear like unappealing, unattractive trailer trash. But I didn't find it. But not to say that people from trailers are going to look ugly or anything like that, but in terms of that type of stereotype that you would imagine from that. So, like, I would base it on that. Whereas, other than that, I just was so bored watching it both times. Like, the first time, I think I had more patience for it just because I was curious and wondering when it was really going to take off, and then it never really did. So, any comments?
We have so many comments. I would like to go to the chat, but I would like, Kat, if it's not too much trouble, don't answer right away, but what movie would you rather be watching? We'll go to the chat now. And we have LDG Free the Net. Thank you so much for being here, LDG. Thank you so much, Lemon. What? In the butt. Anti-derivative Jill is here. And also she says, hello, LDG. Quite the stream. What's going on? We don't really know. This is the first part of a two-part structure this evening. We're going to be talking about Inglourious Bastards later. And you know what? When it comes down to it, I really enjoyed Natural Born Killers more than I thought I would, despite the fact that I was afraid.
How long ago did you write that comment?
Ages. Scotty, we can see your YouTube, and also LDG is right. We cannot hear you. No, I know that was okay. Well, I can go. You know what? That was a while ago.
All right, good.
Cinema Gulp is here, and he says hello. Did you? Well, and Gulp, if you're around, again, we are going to be talking about Inglourious Bastards. So if you'd like to shoot a Nazi in the face, you're more than welcome. Cinema Gulp says, Jack Scagnetti is loosely supposed to be Seymour Scagnetti from Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, there is a loose. Well, it's part of the reason why I wanted to put Natural Born Killers on the list. Is,
I would want to see for Tarantino's last film, as he keeps saying he's going to retire, to do his version of what this movie was supposed to be. I'd be very curious to see that what that is, because he was obviously so unhappy with the end product to the point that he said it barely resembled his original script. That it's like, well, I mean, unless he would get sued for it per similarities, then I would like to see that, or at the very least, read the original script. All right, Lemon Pie.
I'm kind of fingers crossed for a Tarantino Star Trek movie. Hey, Lemon.
I don't think the morons running Trek right now will let that happen, unfortunately.
No, true. And Jill says, and another important point is that Mickey and Mallory live and kill for each other. They would never cheat on each other because everyone else is inferior to them. Well, and that's something that I actually did get through the performance of Mickey and Mallory. I did appreciate the fact that I believed that relationship.
Yeah.
That was trepidatious, but I'll take it.
I didn't know you wanted my opinion on that. That's why I hesitated. Or it wasn't hesitation. I didn't realize you were waiting for me to comment on that. But it felt like again, a very one-dimensional kind of relationship. Like, oh, Mickey, oh, Mallory, oh, I love you. It's like, okay, just and that going on for like 2 hours as they keep killing people. It's like, I can't.
Well, and again,
no shame on the actors, by the way. They just did what they were told to do. So
I would just say that I liked the movie. I was afraid of the movie going into it. I think that my fears were justified. I think that
because of its reputation you were afraid, or what you'd heard about it, or
well, I was, what my primary fear was Rodney Dangerfield being an abusive father.
Right.
I was like, I don't know how I will take this. And seeing his performance really disturbed me, of course. Throughout the rest of the movie, it turned into a social commentary, and I would say it became less scary because Robert Downey Jr. was the media person that we vilified. But I don't know. I would, again, still 5. I would say 5. It was still disturbing. It was a disturbing movie for me. And it was a good story. Jill has read, Antiderivative Jill, friend of the channel, has read the screenplay and said the character motivation was better defined in the original Tarantino. And I look forward to reading that.
Okay,
but
so
no, I would never say remake Natural Born Killers.
I mean, the way he talks about it as being so horrible. They raped my screenplay. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, it makes it sound like it was some as good as True Romance, if not better. And that's why I was curious to see, hey, maybe you should just go and do that. Say, hey, bring it full circle. This is what I wanted to do, and this is what happened. But maybe not.
Well, maybe not. Either way, it's been a pleasure. We do have another movie to talk about, though.
Yes, and that stream starts in oh wow, it's pretty early.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Kat, where do we find you on the internet?
On this channel every Wednesday night, and on the Virtual Cantina Network YouTube channel every second and fourth Sunday of the month at 8 a.m. Pacific on the Unifying Force, as well as Twitter, Instagram at Sly Snide.
Oh, that's not funny. So how do you like the Andor?
I like it. I think it's very, very good. Long form storytelling in Star Wars, very well done. And it's not dependent on cameos or cutesy characters or crap like that. It's actually very good writing.
Okay. Do you mind if I stop this so we can go talk about Nazis?
We can. Though I'd hope you told them in advance that we're going to be starting early if that's what we're doing.
Well, no, we're going to start in like half an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just taking a break. I'm going to order a pizza.
Okay, yeah. There's no other comments in the chat.
Oh, no, there's lots.
Is there anything?
Cinema Gub. Jill says 3 out of 10. Cinema Gulp says, I don't think he can do it now, Kat. He sold the screenplay. He doesn't own it at all anymore in regards to Tarantino and the Apocrypha that is Natural Born Killers. But I would like to see that too.
Is
2 out of 10. 2 out of 10?
Okay, he gave it higher than me.
You people. All right.
All right.
So that's it?
I guess.
We done?
If there's no other insightful comments that we can comment on.
Well, Ben said, I'm baiting. It's true. He also said, I'm a son of a bitch. Also true. So, yeah, no, I think we're done. Natural Born Killers. Final thoughts?
I'll never watch it again. It barely has any resemblance to a Tarantino story. And not that I'm obsessed with Tarantino or anything, but that was the appeal for watching this. And I wasn't a huge Oliver Stone fan before. I mean, I enjoy some of his movies, but I don't sing his praises as much as a lot of other people do. And so, I have nothing else to say about this movie.
I'll see it again. I'm looking forward to hearing the audio commentary.
Right. I would probably watch it too if I had access to the audio commentary, which I don't. So, yeah.
But that's, like I'll see it twice more.
Yeah.
So I guess I like it. 5. Last question. Is it better than Destiny Turns on the Radio?
No. Destiny Turns on the Radio at least had some humor there, and had Tracy Walter. But in response to your earlier question that you told me not to immediately answer, which movie would I rather be watching? The next one that we're going to be talking about shortly, Inglourious Basterds.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to that. Let's do that.
All right.
Scogli says, amazing conversation, guys. Kat didn't like it, so we're not even going to talk about it on any meaningful level. True.
I didn't feel there was anything meaningful about the film to talk about. It's just a schlock fest.
Good job. Very entertaining. Well, no, I think you know what, Scogli, if you don't think that we spoke of the film on any meaningful level, I think we did. And
part of this is rushed because we missed the last 2 weeks of when we were supposed to do this one, and we're trying to race the clock.
That was my fault. No, and also I have to go do a costume change, so I was gonna have a shower. So, anyway, Jill says, "You are welcome to bring meaning to the conversation, Scogli. Scogli, we throw down the gauntlet and say, if you wish to be philosophical, be it." And then Jill continues, says, unless it's already over. I didn't make it back.
She didn't make it back to the chat in time. I bet I am behind several minutes, maybe. But again, if Scott has other meaningful things to say about it, great. I just didn't feel there was much meaning in the movie. And I think the fact that so many critics have tried to read in all this deeper meaning, and I don't feel there is, because I don't think he succeeded in his thesis to try and blame the media for sensationalizing the violence, because again, the movie's not really showing the effects that their crimes are happening on the nation and the people in the country as a whole. It's just showing what their perspective is of it, the killer's perspective, and then what Wayne's perspective is. And so I just, if that's and that's usually what most people read into the movie and what their takeaway is. It's just I don't feel they really achieved it in that regard, and that's what the lion's share of what has been written about this movie has to do with that. And I just don't feel it hit the mark to be that meaningful to be worth talking about. But if Scott, he liked it a lot more. If he feels there is, then by all means.
No, I'm done. Are you done?
Yeah, if there's no more comments. Or no more good comments. Did Scogli come back and comment anything?
No, a lot of people call me a racist.
Really?
Well, yeah. Not really. Anyway. No, seriously, I'm gonna go have a shower and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what's it called?
Inglourious Bastards.
That's the one.
All right.
No, I'm trying to find the outro music. Give me a second. Give me a minute. All right, here we go. All right, I'll see you at Inglourious Bastards. Say goodnight, Kat.
Good night.